Ooh, this is a fun one. Welcome to the BBC's new website. The latest news out of the Miss Universe pageant, you guys, which I follow closely, is that the guy who owns it is bankrupt. Now, if you want to go back, I think it's almost a year ago now that the Miss Universe pageant as a whole was bought by a guy who is a like a telecoms billionaire in East Asia, excuse me, and he has said stuff like he's a trans woman. He's transitioned. He's a trans woman who owns Miss Universe. Bought it from I think the Trump regime or whoever owned it after Trump. So that and he trolls too. He said something along the lines of one of my I've never felt more like a woman than when I had this makes me feel more like a woman than when I had my first couple of kids. Calls himself a mother even though he became trans when he's 30 something and now he's 42 or whatever. And you've read the stories probably about multiple contestants in Miss Universe being transgenders now. They're extremely pretty dudes who said, I'm so pretty I can be a girl, and I'm such a pretty girl that used to be a dude that I will be in Miss Universe. No hate, of course. We don't hate on this podcast. We just point out that guys that think they're pretty like girls now get into the Miss Universe. I think Miss Netherlands was a Monsignor. We could call you can't call them Miss Netherlands, really, can you? At this point in time, you go with like Monsignor, which I think is a religious term. You can go with Senor, G, Mister G, Netherlands. So two different countries entered a non female gendered person into the pageant, and now the Thai guy, not to be confused with Five Guys Pizza, but Thai Guys Miss Universe has gone bankrupt at the same time the pageant is going on. This is from the BBC, who would never lie, especially when they write Miss Jacques Judateep. Of course, in England, it's illegal to misgender somebody, but you wouldn't want to take a stand. Nobody likes taking stands in England, unless it's for my chips and my blood pudding. Blues Brackpool says it's nice. The Thai owner of Miss Universe pageant, which was once part of former U.S. Donald Trump's business empire, has filed for bankruptcy a year after buying it for $20 million. JKN Global Group has said it would try to resolve a liquidity problem. So, of course, this is how many businesses get out of paying debts. For example, they go and they file a different type of bankruptcy than your typical bankruptcy, which would be I have nothing left. I've liquidated all my assets. Please don't make me pay anything. I'm dying, essentially. But businesses can do it. I think it's Chapter 11 in the United States. I don't know what it is anywhere else where they can basically say, we're getting rid of this business, and it's a fun way to move money around sometimes, allegedly. Its chief executive, Anne Jacopon Jacra Judatip, say that 9 times, is a transgender woman who bought the firm as the pageant became more inclusive. You see how that's the type of thing that says, let's scroll up. Oh, we can't even click on their name. Mariko Oi, business reporter without a byline. The company can continue its operation while being under the rehabilitation plan. Funding for the deal was raised through bonds, but the firm missed a repayment deadline of around $12 million, which was due on September 1st. Okay, I guess, it's we missed our deadline. It's only 12 million. In the past year, JKN's share price has fallen by more than 80%. That's rough. The Thai bankruptcy court has set the hearing date for the petition for business rehabilitation on 29 January, according to the firm. We, of course, Unauthorized Opinions, hate the way British people write the date. It's on 29 January. Under the ownership of JKN, the pageant has allowed mothers and married women to participate in the contest from this year. We'll talk about that in a second. The revised format will also feature at least 2 trans women for the first time after Marina Machete, not to be confused with Danny Trejo's movie The Machete, became the first transgender woman to win Miss Portugal, and Ricky Valerie Cole. You like how basically when a transgender guy becomes a woman, he comes up with the same name a teenage boy would use for his online moniker. Pretending to be a girl. You're playing some Fallout. You're playing some what's the other game I'm thinking of? some PUBG online or whatever, pretending to be a girl. I'm Marina Machete, badass. I'm Ricky Valerie. Like, like you're one step away from Ricky Bobby at that point. The annual pageant with a history spanning 7 decades is broadcast in more than 165 countries, and now you can see dudes in it. Who is you miss universally? Yeah, now we had to smear Trump for the last half of the article. It's wonderful, you guys. So the idea here is that inclusivity is the way forward. Diversity is our strength, as I move my hands around girlishly. But inclusivity, they say pregnant women are allowed. I mean, okay, if you're not showing, if you're just technically pregnant and you wanted to enter the contest, I don't see any point to that. It banned women with children. I don't know if that's because it said, hey, you probably should have something better to do than chasing your vanity. Maybe, I guess. But the idea of all around inclusivity isn't supposed to be like anything, you know? We're talking about a beauty pageant. So can a guy join? Apparently, yes. Can an NBA team join? Can Draymond Green and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson say, we are now joining the Miss Universe pageant as one person, and we're guys, you have to include us? It sounds ridiculous, but where does it stop? Like, if you are willing to go as far as saying, hey, a guy's allowed in this girls' competition because you identify as a woman, the absurdity and logical leap there says that I can also claim to be whatever I want. So two people can claim to be one. A child can claim to be a grown woman. Enter the. If we're going on the basis that it's whatever you want, and we've been over this, people, we've been over this. If it's whatever you want, I can be the famous, attack helicopter. I can be the donkey from Shrek. I can be whatever I please, and it's going to work out. The businesses like to pretend that this works out, just like Miss Universe was pretending this was going to work out, just like NASCAR and Bud Light pretend this is going to be, it's going to be so inclusive. We'll just, everyone in the NHL will kneel and we'll all wear trans flags everywhere, and it's going to work out. Nobody's going to get cut, but no, and too soon for that joke, you guys. Nobody's making any skate cutting jokes here. Miss Universe judge says bankruptcy is due to outrage over transgender organizer. Now, this is coming from a former judge from 2022. And they say that it's because exactly what you think it is because they took Miss Universe, and all of a sudden 95% of girls who aren't, you know, college students or high school students who realize that girls are not crazy and don't care about it anymore. I mean, if a guy can win it, then why do I care? If a little girl is just looking at a TV screen, or a teenage girl, and saying, oh, so pretty, what a wonderful dress, and all of a sudden you start seeing a guy with stink lines and hairy armpits on there, because that will come soon. If you don't stop it now, there will be. How can you say that hairy armpits aren't beautiful? How can you say that a big Samoan wrestler guy is not beautiful? A Miss Universe judges claim that outrage over participation of a trans woman incompletion has caused the organizer to file bankruptcy. Emily Austin, 2022 Miss Universe judge, said at a Fox News program called it morally wrong. I'm not sure this was in English. Said at a Fox News program called it morally wrong. The remark comes a day after the competition was held in El Salvador last week. We got to do some fact checking on this website here. NDTV. I think this is this the Hong Kong network? NDTV? I think her company in Thailand has its own financial issues, the judge said, but socially and morally it's just wrong, and people are starting to catch on to that. I would the connection, you have to make this connection with some sort of, basis for why you're making it. Simply saying that I was a judge and this is the reason why doesn't exactly pass the smell test, and it shouldn't, even though it sounds right. Maybe this person has inside connections as to why, but if you're going to make this claim, I think you have to make this evidence. Even though we all like to get up here and say, this is the obvious reason, you can say Bud Light did this campaign. Bud Light sales are massively down, and combine that with, people making fun of you if you order a Bud Light at a bar or a sports venue. For Miss Universe, unless their ratings are way down, or unless they've been getting letters that said, "Hey, that guy's ball was hanging out during the broadcast," then I don't think you can just make this jump. And of course, it goes on to say that they're submitting this bankruptcy rehabilitation thing. I think what happens with Miss Universe and this thing is you go the straight and narrow path. You do what you've been doing this whole time. And if there is a demand, this is what I say about video games. If there's a demand for that, then it will exist on its own. And if you think there's a demand on it, why don't you be the first company to say, hey, Miss Transgender Woman 2023? And I originally made this point for, I think it was FIFA 2023, which came out this year, obviously. No, 2024 is this year. I think it was FIFA 2023 last year. They do the year ahead, so they don't get left behind. They were promoting woman on the cover, commercials, 90% women in the game. And I was thinking to myself and saying out loud, even as I'm known to do, that if they're spending this much time on the game to feature women in the game, and it's such an important part of the game, not me saying it, them saying it. It's such an important part of the game that we spend all this time putting women in the game, scanning their likeness in, putting in their special celebrations and moves in the game. And other parts of the game still suck, which is true. Anyone could tell you that to play these games. If it's so important that this be in the game, then why haven't you gone and made another game? If the demand is so high, why don't you have men's FIFA 2023 and women's FIFA 2024? Now, they don't have FIFA on the name, neither here nor there anymore. But why can't you make a separate team, make a separate game for women's soccer 2024? And since it's so important and so many girls play these games, why don't you make this game and it'll sell like hotcakes? What's the difference? If they were to say, here's the version with girls in it, version A, and here's the version without girls in it, version B, and this version has a couple extra features, and this in the A version, its only extra feature is the girls in it. Would you rather have, the choice of 50 other different balls or extra animations, or would you rather have the girls team? Which one do you think the casual fan or hardcore fan will choose? The casual fan will not choose the one that has the girls in it, and the hardcore gamer will not choose the one that has the girls in it. In this case, for Miss Universe, the hardcore gamer, the girl who says, hey, Miss Universe, the girls on this are pretty. I like their dresses. I want to be in pageants, or I am in pageants. The hardcore gamer in that situation is not going to say, what this is missing is actually dudes. Just like the boys and the teens and the Andrew Sezes playing the video games are not going to say, what this is missing is actually, rise up, girls, rise up and kick that ball. I don't know anything else other than rise up we can say legally, but nobody's going to pick that. And so if you think it's such an important thing and you want to prove something, Miss Transgender 2023, women's FIFA soccer 2096, whatever it may be, but they won't do that because without the background, without the pillar of Miss Universe, FIFA soccer, the other cannot exist, and it will not exist on its own, and everything else is pretend. Everything else is the 31-year-old lonely girl, possibly obese, possibly puts salt on things that do not need salt to be on them. She's the one saying we need this inclusivity and we need it now. In the Miss Universe's case, it's a guy who thinks he's a pretty girl saying we need other guys who think they're pretty girls because, girls are kind of icky to me, and I would like more transgender people in the Miss Universe. We didn't get here, folks, by being mean. We got here by them shoving it down our throats. We got to this point where we say, it's guys being oh so pretty that they're in Miss Universe pageants. We didn't get there on our own. We got there by saying, or by hearing them say, you're a bigot if you don't like transgender women. You're a bigot if you don't like Man of the Year Kim Kardashian or Bruce Jenner. Keep it all in the family, of course. We got here by them shoving it into our faces. And I guess maybe, according to this last article, the pageant fans have had enough.
Turn it up, Jordan.